Now, how to find the will of God for your life? Before this argument of will and no will, the first thing that happens to you is that, do you even know the will of God for your life? That's the main thing. You get, so many people out there doing, you were just born into a rich family and you want to live your life to the fullest without even coming to knowledge of what God created you to do. Now, some people were born into the poor family and they believe that I'm born poor, there's nothing good that come for my life. Is that the will of God for your life? See, until you come into knowledge of what the will of God is for your life, you will keep living to fulfill other people's destiny. Now, in other words, I have some drafted points here how you can find the will of God. One, you can find the will of God by prayer. You can find the will of God in the place, in the altar of prayer. Thank God that this show is also to help people grow spiritually. So until you begin to journey and trade in the altar of prayer, you can never know the will of God for your life. The Bible says the secret things are with them that fear the Lord. Now, the secret thing. So before you can find something secret, you must also live in the secret. So I've been journey enough to the secret place. See, the secret place is not just a place to go and shabalaba. No, it's a place where you find the heart of God. So when you find the heart of God, then God begins to reveal to you why you were born, why you were created. Remember what happened to Job? When all the damages that happens to Job, Job began to lament. Why did you even create me in the first place? And God came with questions that even Job could not answer. He said, let me know if you're a man of knowledge. He said, when I created the moon, were you there? When I created the sun, were you there? When I created all of this that you've lost, that you are lamenting, were you there? And he got the point, even Job will not say anything, because when you are faced with challenges, what you do is that you don't just start lamenting, you go and find him. If Job went to look for God in the secret, God will have revealed to him that no, it's just a test. So if he knew it was just a test, God will even go back and say, devil, you don't even try. Because God will have told that, don't worry, after this test, I'm going to give you 7 of what you have not. But because he never went back, we find good. So now, what am I saying? In the place of prayer, the place where revelation are bettered. You get. So when revelation are bettered, then when you come into a revelation of your existence, it gives you peace. You know why most of us, see, one thing I tell you, if you know the will of God for your life, it will save you a lot of stress. But there are some burdens in your heart. You know, how can I achieve this? How can I? Is God sending you to achieve that? Hey! You get, some pastors are there crying day and night. I want to have one of the biggest churches in Africa. See, the will of God for your life might just be to pastor 5 people. Until you find those 5 people and pastor them efficiently and effectively, you will not have this. Fine, you might go God through you, to your own will, like we're saying. You might want to do it before you use all your salary, you still manipulate people and build a mega church. And at the end of the day, inside that same mega church, you will have thousands of people. But after thousands of people, you see that only 5 people are submitting to you. In other words, it means that the will of God is still with 5 people. But you've just spent resources in gathering masses. So the will of God is what actually gives you peace. So number 1, I said what? You find the will of God in the place of prayer. Number 2, I said what? You find the will of God in scriptures. Fine. You know what? Daniel said something. He said, I think in the book of Daniel chapter 9 verse 2, he said, for I understood by books. Sometimes you come into knowledge of who you are by reading. The scripture is an embodiment that contains your life, what you have been, what you will be, and what you are still going to be. That is the scripture for you. So when you sit on the scripture and study it, and then you begin to find meaning to your life. The next point I will say, how can you know the will of God for you? Is by listening to mentors. You might not know who you are, but when you go to a man that knows better, the man can bring you into an atmosphere that can be able to reveal to you who you are. Now, this happens, it's also a scripture. It happened to who? It happened to Paul. We just talk about Paul. This same Paul was a man that was living opposite of his own life. Yeah. And he got to a point where he just kind of knew that, no, if I leave this guy, he will perish. And because he has so much assignment for this man, he has to come for him. He did not come against him, he came for him. I mean, he came for him. Bible says what? Bible says, for Paul encountered God. And when he has encountered Jesus, what happened at the end? He said, what I wanted to do for me, I've already told the man. What I want you, that means the assignment for your life
Is already.
I've already told the man. So what the best thing you can do is go to a particular city. Then you will meet a man. What is the now say? Ananias. And when he went to the city, what happened? Bible said Jesus also went and met who? Ananias. Said go to a street called. Then he gave Ananias a directive how to meet Paul. And when he met Paul, he began to tell Paul what Paul should do. So he began to reveal to Paul the vision, the plan, the choices of God for who? For Paul. So in other words, you can come into knowledge of who you are by who? By people that are already with him, that's from the old. With the question you just asked, man, you said, what about those people that have already made the wrong choice, but because of how long they've stayed in those wrong places, how do they retrace their step? Okay, fine. I will take us a story and say one or two things, and then now you must understand one thing that happens to. There's a guy called in the Bible. He's a prodigal son. Man that has what? As a family, he was very rich. And what happened? And this guy said, "Okay, Daddy, I think you should just give me everything that belongs to me. Let me do it." Even though the man was alive, he wanted to take his own inheritance. Why the father was still alive? And what happened? The Bible says, to cut the whole story short, this guy left. That was what? It was a wrong decision.
Yeah.
And he went and lavished everything he has gotten from the father. Then he started suffering. That might also be the case of many people out there watching. They made those same wrong choices. It stayed long enough, but they were sick. Now, talking about a will, there was something that came. Now, he had a will. And what was that will? He had suffered enough to the point that he was eating food that belongs to animals. So he said, no, I will arise and go back to my father. What happened? He took that decision. That decision can also be influenced by God. And God is also asking every one of you there to take that decision today. Now, when he went back, the fear was in his heart that, my father will not accept me. Abi? He said, okay, even though my father will not accept me, I'm going to beg him. So he make me one of his servant. That is a decision. That no, regardless, if you reject me, I will stay. If you accept me, I will stay. So whatever punishment that will come, I will accept it joyfully and stay. And what happened? Bible says when the father
saw him afar,
he said he opened his hands. Because why? He was expecting it. When they said, what elders down and see, you as a son, you will like climb a rope or you will not see. That is what happened. But the father knew that the decision this guy is taking, he will still come back. And did it happen? Yes. And the man was what? He opened his arms and was waiting patiently for the guy to come. The guy was surprised. And at the end of the day, the Bible says, he said he had done him with the best apparel. In other words, if you can also make that decision to come back to Jesus, he said Jesus, he has opened his arms wide to receive you. And not only receiving you, he's going to adore you with the best apparel.